Jarvis, drop my needle.
Hello, this is the hardcore legend Mick Foley, and if you are interested in listening to idiots, you came to the right place. Have a nice day.
Woo! That's an attention getter.
He's a very strange young man.
He's an idiot.
What we're dealing with here is a complete lack of respect for the law.
Oh my God, he's an idiot.
You know, of course, that you're out of your jurisdiction.
Personally, I think you're an idiot.
But that's the evidence in the car.
But I was going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
Always like to keep my audience riveted.
Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, friends and fiends, and welcome to Free Range Idiocy, the podcast about everything, including laser beams, but mostly just the stuff we like. I know y'all are probably sick of us talking about nothing but Star Wars and wrestling the last couple months, so we're going to give everyone, including ourselves, a bit of a break and head in a different direction for this episode. Today, we'll be talking about something very near and dear to our hearts, something we're both very passionate about. Hang on, Tim. It's not steak. It's not steak. I'm sorry. It's music. Music.
Oh, all right.
So we're going to be talking about a couple of albums here. So sit down and buckle up because you're probably going to be a little thunderstruck on this venture down the highway to hell. See what I did there? In this episode 160, album one-on-one, AC/DC Squared. I am your Uncle Todd, and with me, as always, is the man who always wanted to play guitar so he could get all the girls. So of course he wound up playing bass. He has been my partner in idiocy for over 2 decades and is fluent in Gettysese. I give you the man they call Tim.
Greetings and salutations, my friend. Hey, just wanted to play the scales since you called it out. What's the matter with that?
At least you know scales. I don't know scales.
Well, I try to.
I fake it.
I pretend to. Oh. What you drinking over there?
The little Wild Turkey 101.
Very nice. I'm having a little tonight. Redemption! I'm in need of some redemption.
Aren't we all? Aren't we all? So yes, ladies and gentlemen, as I mentioned in our introduction, we'll be doing one of our album one-on-ones, which Tim was so helpful as to point out. It's the first time we've done one of these episodes since when?
November 7th of 2022.
Jeez. It's been a little while.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, so we're going to try this out. For those of you who are on YouTube and have no idea who we are or what's going on, we don't either. So join in. It'll be fun. And along the way, we've got some other stuff to talk about. So let's dip into that before we dip into the music, shall we? So let's get ourselves to, I don't have the soundboard pulled up, the Week in Geek.
The Week in Geek.
Feels so funky.
Indeed we do. Indeed we do. Well, sir. Oh, that's a very nice freeze frame you're doing there. Let's see if you can hold that for the next hour and a half. Well, before we jump into the content, which I have so carefully curated. Yes, meticulously curated, or in Uncle Todd speak, cut and paste.
You're like a pit bull with that one. You're just not going to let it go.
I was hoping to get a spit take out of you as you were drinking the bourbon, but it did not happen.
Goodness, I've had the work wives before. I've had band wife before. Now I've got podcast wife. Just going to keep on digging at me with that.
Well, and just for the record, our last episode is under dispute. We had a
what is.
We had a contest to see who could select.
We cleared this up in the last episode, and you're still dragging this out?
No, this is under dispute. I am not accepting the loss. There were changes made at the last minute to ratings. It is held up in the courts, and that bottle of bourbon, sir, may be delayed coming your way.
Okay, what are we going to do? Like odds and evens here? Are we going to do rock, paper, scissors?
No, not at all. Next time we're doing this, your pick is your pick is your pick. You stick with it, my friend. You don't change it because the Holy Spirit moves you.
Well, I ask you, if not then, when? I mean, really? What are you supposed to do? I feel a twinge in my right butt cheek. I shall change it now. Like, I mean, in the exact scenario that you just laid out. I'm no theologian, but I mean, wouldn't that kind of be like the trump card? Like, and there it is.
Oh, gosh.
I'm just saying.
Sorry.
Oh, gosh.
It was a little more for my own amusement, so.
Anyways,
I'm just saying.
Are we talking about anything besides just ripping on me? I mean, this
is
is my gimmick, is ripping on you. I mean,
well, no, we gotta keep it a little different here. I'm
it's a little
trying
gimmick
to throw a little
infringement, is what I think it is.
Spice into it. You know what I mean?
We need to get someone in here to be a judge on this. Where's Taker when you need him?
Do we have the People's Court music?
No, we don't. I've been lax in replenishing the soundboard. I got to work on that.
Yeah, we got 5 different cheeky quotes, don't we?
Zencaster's got to give me more than 10 selections. This is just it's totally not enough for my artistic expression.
All right. Well,
anyways,
we have been
aired your grievance.
Now that I've aired my grievance, we have been out of it for about a week. So just a little catch up.
Been out of it for 48 years, dude.
Well, fair enough. But last week we had to defer, much like the Patriots would at a game when Belichick was at the helm.
There's got to be some sort of stat at like how many times he deferred to the second half. It's got to be like 98%.
I think so. I think he secretly played a lot of Madden because he seemed to accentuate the very
move, really.
It is the wise move, absolutely. But sir, you had quite an adventure last week. You were tripsing and travailing around, traveling around the New England area.
Man, college visits, it's a thing. And
is snow still abounding in that region, or has it all melted away?
There's of course, here in Maine, everywhere else that we went to, we were in Massachusetts and Rhode Island primarily.
Yeah.
No snow down there. There's still a few stubborn, dirty, small little lumps of snow in parking lots around here, but I think they're very quickly on their way out.
All right.
Yeah, it's been a hoot, let me tell you. Had one of my most shameful moments during one of these college visits.
Oh dear.
This is story number 1 of 2 stories I promised you in our pre-production meeting. So was setting up.
You didn't bust out the streak while you were. Who is that man with no clothes?
Moving really slowly with a limp. That's the thing. If you're going to go streaking, you got to have some speed. And my knees and my ankles just won't let me do it.
All that powerlifting you've been doing is kind of weighing you down.
I got to run from the popo. I better be able to dodge them in half a block, because after that, I'm done. The knees just lock right up. Anyways, so we were going down to first visit that we had was in Massachusetts. The next day's visit was going to be in Newport, Rhode Island. Okay. And so I had booked a hotel in Newport because we were going to drive from the first college down to Newport and do a little sightseeing that day, and then have the visit the next day. So I booked a hotel, and I thought I picked a winner, and I think I got a little cocky, because normally I go through a set of checks, and I'll check location, I check this, I check that, and this time I think
the barometer, the wind speed, and the number of birds in the sky.
If possible, if that data is available, yes. And so I think I was in the middle of doing like 3 things, and it was like, okay, my wife was telling me we need to get this hotel booked, and I just booked it and did not do my normal due diligence. And so we arrive at this hotel. I will not mention the hotel name. All right. I will say it was in a very busted up area of Newport.
Okay.
In vicinity to the old Newport Casino, which looks like it's been closed for quite a while.
I see.
And is now like a home for aimless winos. But so pull in there, and I'm just like thinking to myself, oh, pretty please be somewhat better. Be somewhat better than what it's looking like here. And no, it never got any better.
Is it like the hotel from Rocky 3 where Adrian and Rocky were holding up?
It might have been.
That was a pretty dicey place they were staying at.
This looked like an old Howard Johnson's that they were slowly doing like one of those. If you watch, if anyone out there watches like HGTV or anything like that, they have these like hotel motel remodels, and they take these old school, really dated hotels and motels and turn them into these like kind of hipster bougie, sort of accommodations. And it looks like that's what they're going for, but it looks like it's a very big project. Like this isn't like a 20-room motel or anything. This looks like this is probably a good 100 rooms, and I don't think they're through 100 rooms. And in fact, their lobby isn't even done. They're like you go into the back door of this hotel, and it's literally the check-in desk is like a little stand-up kiosk in the stairwell. And I'm like, this isn't good. And in the meantime, my wife is talking like, I can't believe you booked this and that and that. And I'm like, there's no way that the people have not heard these comments. There's no way.
Yeah.
And so we had to cancel that one, which I'm fine with, because I was like, okay, I mucked this one up big time. And then we ended up driving in around downtown Newport. We found a hotel that looked nice. We ended up paying almost $500.
Oh, $5. Dang.
That is.
Ooh, that's going to put a dent in the old wallet.
But you know what? It's money well spent, because everyone was happy. We weren't next to a busted up casino. We had a water view. It was, it was well worth it. But just, ladies and gentlemen, just remember, if you do not do your due diligence, you will pay the stupidity tax. And that's what that was.
Do I need to basically package and send to you my replica of the Hardcore Championship from the late 90s with the words hardcore taken off and logos of like Airbnb and Hilton and Marriott all over it, because I apparently held that belt for quite some time after the Saw-esque shack that we got in Denver. So
oh no, I think the one that you booked for your family with it was like the murder basement was much better than that.
Oh my gosh!
Hashtag shed life was strong in Colorado. That was very interesting. Our outdoor area I thought was especially appealing. All 8 square feet of it. I
did feel like it was a portal to Narnia in some ways, because you look in the outside of the thing and you're like, what the heck did I just do? And you walk in and you're like in this like actually pretty nice interior sort of situation. I mean,
but
it was
a
actually
shed.
not bad.
It is a shed nonetheless.
It's a shed, but it doesn't feel like a shed when you're in it.
Oh no, not at first, but then once you realize that it's a shed, then you look around, you're like, oh no, I can totally see the shed construction aspects of this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was Travel Mayhem 1. Travel Mayhem 2 was the fact that and this one's not even a huge story, but we managed to miss our train home from Boston and ended up spending an extra 5 hours to kill. Therefore, if you follow us on Instagram, you'll see the text stream I had going with the man they call Tim as I realized
I got 2 more hours to go.
He was shocked that I was gonna start a betting pool at the bar that I was at in North Station, and he's like, I didn't understand how. I mean, how are you going to do that? I'm like, I just looked around and it was that sort of place. It looked like that was that sort of clientele.
Where was your wife and daughter through all of this? Were they elsewhere, or
I forget where they went. They
were elsewhere while you were doing your tomfoolery.
Oh yes. Well,
okay.
Mostly the thing was we were just looking for outlets because we had to charge our cell phones I was the only one who brought a charger because we didn't think we were going to spend all day down there.
Yeah.
And so I was charging my phone and, having myself a beverage, and the only thing on TV was the LPGA Chevron Classic. And I knew I was getting desperate for something because I started developing rooting interests. I was like, I'm starting to get fascinated by this. I must walk away because I used to play golf. I don't play golf anymore. I've never been a person to watch golf on TV. And the fact that I was getting interested in it, I'm like, this is a slippery slope here, ladies and gentlemen.
But in that evening,
I need to walk away.
Uncle Todd was becoming a savant, a student, if you will, of the LPGA, just due to the lack of activity that he had to do.
Well,
tell the good people how much time difference there was between the
5
train
hours.
you were.
5 hours. So for those of you who might happen to find yourself taking the Amtrak between Boston and Maine, just know that after that 5:20 train leaves, there ain't another one till 10:30.
Is it the same one just coming back?
I have
Good
no
God.
idea. I don't know the reasoning behind it. I just know that we had a long wait, and that by the time we were then back on the platform waiting for that train, there was some very interesting folks waiting with us. It was the creme de la creme of the Boston nightlife. It was very interesting.
Interesting.
But yeah, that was
You
good.
said to your
times.
daughter, "Look, this is what you're going to come and come down here and study." So,
Yep. Yep, and then you had quite an eventful weekend because you had your you were teaching the young minds of America. You were telling me earlier.
Yes, Friday was a volunteer day that my company does, and so we go out into the community in various capacities, and just do some volunteerism and help local communities in various ways. My way was there's a program called Junior Achievement, and so I was teaching the youths of America about the finer points of income and expenses, being a complete expert in the area.
Now you see, here you save, and this is this, and then this, and here, deviled eggs. That right there.
That's right.
Your deviled egg budget.
Well, see, you got your budget for deviled eggs. You got to have your budget for all your streaming services. There's the pay-per-views. You got to get the wrestling pay-per-views. That's high on the list, baby.
Excuse me, could you not have Tim come in and teach the children again? He was talking about saving on bourbon, distillery tours.
Bourbon, wrestling, fascination with wrestling that is just unhealthy.
And then he started slathering himself with bacon grease at some point. It was getting very unhinged. Very unhinged.
Grills and meat and all sorts of just disgusting things. But yeah, so myself and a coworker, we hosted for an hour a classroom of students, and I got to be honest, the students were much further along in their financial understanding than I was at their age. When we were putting forth some questions, they had some great answers, and it was very good. I was impressed by their level of engagement. It was the last period of the day, so I wasn't sure what we were going to get in terms of that, but no, it was a lot of fun and enjoyed it. It was over before it started. The hour just flew by, and it had a very good time and did some good and helped just help some kids. It was a lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. So.
Very nice, sir.
That was a little bit, and then of course afterwards, the missus and I had a nice dinner on the next to the Chicago River, which I shouldn't. Well, I mean, it's nice looking out beyond the river. The river itself is not exactly the cleanest, but the overall just
is that a dead guy that just floated by?
Yeah, well, it's there's a lot that goes on in Chicago. But just where we were right on the north side of the river, just looking out at Wacker Drive and just all the skyscraper. It was very impressive. It was just very cool to kind of sit there and see.
I've heard you say it. I've heard it before, but every time I hear Wacker Drive, I just can't help. Like internally, I giggle. I could never live in Chicago. Like I don't know that would ever go away.
Oh my God. It's the street the Blues Brothers sped down.
I understand Lower Wacker. I get it, and it just on the inside I'm going.
Oh my gosh! All right. Well, any other catch-ups we need to do, or should we get into the content of the Week in Geek?
Well, so before the show, the man they called Tim asked me how my day had been, and I said, "Let me tell you on the show."
Oh, okay.
So
there we go.
We started having this issue over the weekend where whenever we would run our washing machine, it would back up into our mop sink that we have downstairs, which I was very thankful that we have a mop sink now because it was containing all of the water that was draining. So, and actually this has been going on like a week and a half, but I mean, this past week we were home so little, we couldn't get anyone in to take care of it. And it was backing up a little bit. Then over this weekend, it was backing up like halfway into the sink. So a good few gallons of water in there. And so
would it eventually drain, or was it just?
Yes, it eventually drained. Okay. It just took a while, but obviously it wasn't going down the main, whatever you call it.
Thingamabob.
Main line out of the house.
All right.
and it was backing up and took forever to drain.
Okay.
So we could still use the washing machine. It didn't overflow or anything. So I was like, all right, this is manageable, but we need to get this addressed before it gets worse. And so my wife made the call, managed to get someone over here today. They routed out the drain pipe. They're like, yeah, you should be all right. We didn't have to go all the way out to the street or anything, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. So I go downstairs today to do a load of laundry, or 2 loads of laundry, actually, because our cat was nice enough to barf all over our blanket and some things last night, which is, folks, there's no better way to wake up than you hear that. I mean, it's just... It's this, and the thing is, at least I knew where she was.
Yeah.
Because there's nothing worse than like playing the "Where did the cat puke" game in the complete darkness. That's just. I mean, you might. You know what? I'd almost rather step on a Lego. That's how much I dislike that game. Anyways, I go downstairs, throw in a load of laundry, and go back upstairs to do some stuff. I'm thinking, oh, the laundry's probably done. Go downstairs, and I'm like, what the heck is that? Oh, that's water all over the floor.
Oh, no.
And like water all over the floor, like when I say all over the floor, I mean like our washing machine is across the basement from the stairs downstairs, and it was at the stairs.
Holy
so a
moly.
significant amount of water had overflowed. I was like, what in the ever-loving hell is going on here? So get the shop vac, which I of course have to take the bag and all that other stuff out, and before I can start. So there's more water on the floor. I finally get to the point. I'm vacuuming this thing. I'm just trying to get water. I filled up the wet vac 3 times, easy.
Holy moly!
Granted, it's not the largest wet vac you can have, but I mean it's a significant amount of water. So
Yeah.
I finally get this done. My wife, is telling me, she's calling up the folks again. I won't name the business, and they're like, oh, they're sending someone over. I'm like, what are they gonna do? And she's still on the phone with him. Like, what are they gonna do? Suck it up with a straw?
She said that?
I said that.
Oh,
and she's still on the phone with the people from the
dear.
company. So I'm like, well, whatever. I don't care. And so I'm like vacuuming this because it's going everywhere. Like, and it's not like we have a ton of things, but I mean, there's enough stuff downstairs that I have to like vacuum around. And I'm like,
yeah,
it's nasty. So I spent probably close to an hour wet vacuuming to get all the water up. And I had to tell my wife, I'm like, is this company coming over? You said they were coming over. Are they still coming over? She's like, well, they said that they would. I was like, do me a favor and tell them not to come over. And I was like, just tell them we want a refund for the trouble that I just had to deal with. Because what I found out what the problem was.
Okay, what was the problem?
The problem was I found this out as I worked my way toward, because I found out the low spot of my basement apparently is where my stairs land, because that's where all the water was heading to. So I was like fighting my way over, because I knew it was coming from the washing machine because it's the only thing on.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm fighting my way over, and I finally get over there. I'm like, oh, I know why it overflowed, because Ding Dong, who did the drain, didn't put the drain for the washing machine back in the pipe.
Oh no! So all the water just Oh my gosh!
So I throw that back in the drain and continue my battle against the water. And told my wife, I'm like, just tell them not to come over here. We want a refund for the trouble. They did something really stupid. And she's like, well, but I'm like, just tell them not to come over here, because in my head, I am pissed to the top degree of pistivity that there is.
Profanities that would make a sailor blush.
I am cutting a Jim Cornette promo in my head the entire time I'm vacuuming up this water, and I knew
there's not enough hemorrhoid cream to soothe.
I knew that if the person showed up, it was not going to be good. And I'm like, I don't want to do that because I know that I'm being unreasonable and I'm being angry, but the thing that I just kept coming back to. I was like, I didn't have this mess to clean up before you came here.
Mm-hmm.
You actually managed to make the problem worse.
In some ways,
significantly worse.
In some ways, you have something in common with the Undertaker because at one point when he came out and he was burned by the pyro.
Yep.
Yeah, he did not want to see the person who shot that off for fear of what might happen to them.
And I was just like, that was the thing that kept going in my head. It's like, I didn't have to do this cleanup when the thing was broken, and then you fixed it and made it worse. Good on you. way to really overachieve on that one.
Yes.
So yeah, that was how my afternoon went. And after that, I then, of course, I had another load of laundry, which I was nervous about running because I'm like,
Uncle Todd sat on a stool and watched that son of a gun.
I went down every
run
5
the full
minutes.
cycle.
I went down
you did
every 5 minutes just to check on it. Do you believe me?
I would have done the same thing.
Then after that, I treated myself to like 6 Oreos, and I was like, you know what?
Well
I wasn't going to have these, but I think I've earned that, and my lower back is still hurting.
Oh, jeez. Wow.
But anyways, so that's how my day went.
Holy moly. Well, I am sorry, sir. That was unfortunate. You had to go through that.
Anyways, we got to really get to the Week in Geek here. We've been doing our catch up here. We need to get into this.
Real quick, I do want to point out just very quickly, what I texted you last week. I was on a work call and didn't mean to do this, but we were talking about someone, and I happened to mention that the person now has a mustache, which they didn't have before. And I happened to work into it completely unconsciously. I was just talking. I'm like, yeah, the guy's got a mustache now, and good for him, or good on him, or something. I did the LA Night bit, and people cracked up, and I'm just like, after the call, I'm like, I just worked an LA Night bit into a work conversation. I need to be careful here.
Let me talk to you. Yeah.
That's the only thing is you missed the yeah. You need to get that in there.
Thank goodness. I mean, that would have been good because he's got a mustache now, and good on him. Yeah. That's all we need to work into it.
Tim seems to be developing some rather interesting tics. I think he might have low-grade Tourette's.
Possibly. All right. Well, getting to the content.
The actual Week in Geek.
And we're going to try to move through this kind of.
Honestly, I don't think the AC/DC thing is going to take that long because
it's not. I'm telling you right now, I took no notes. I'm going completely.
I've got notes, but yeah.
I'm going completely off the cuff here. I've listened to both albums at least 3 or 4 times each.
Oh, you listened to both albums?
Well, I did just to get a sense of the differences.
You.
Well, I'm sorry, it's not cut and paste, but it's what I do. So, bam. All right, here we go.
That's good. That's good. I gotta give it to you. That's good.
I'm gonna milk this gimmick for the next 10 shows.
Just that's it.
Thank you, Stevie. Can we get a peek? But this first
Superman can't walk.
This first article from our friends at cineblend.com. Callum Keith Rennie, who played Leoben from our favorite series of all time, Battlestar Galactica. This was an article I came across. It's going to be kind of obvious, but it has to do with the never-ending saga that is this show that's supposed
that is the BSG reboot.
This BSG reboot that somehow is going to come out, I don't know, in the next millennia. Who knows?
It's a zombie show. Oh, here it comes again.
But apparently he has, and you were pointing this. I think you mentioned this to me, sir, because you watched Star Trek Discovery.
Yes,
that he has made his presence known in season 5, which I believe is the final season of the show.
It is, and he's got a fairly interesting part. And
is he a bad guy or is he?
No, he's.
Oh, good. He normally plays a bad guy for some reason.
I don't want to really say what his arc is because I think we're in.
That's fine.
I think we're episode 4 right
All
now.
Right.
Don't
say
anything.
Been
kind of interesting, but no, he's a Starfleet officer.
All right,
safe to say.
So played Leoben on BSG, and in talking about this reboot series, he is quoted as saying the following: "I think if someone's if someone's doing something, if they're going to do it, and by it he means do another Battlestar Galactica show, it has to be better than the one prior. So if there's anything to do with it, that's the shooting point to me. So what Battlestar originally was, and then the next version of it was great, and then the next one, which would be with all the new tech and toys, but grow it, make it better, and you go, oh, this thing has a great thread of development. That's all I ever would want from it. So all in all, just saying what we're all thinking in our brains, this has to hit a pretty high bar, ladies and gentlemen, if it's going to be something that we're going to be jazzed about, that we're going to say, yes, we see it, we get it, we like it, we want it, more of it. It's got to be better. It's got to be better. And they did that. BSG reboot, much better than the original series. It took it in a very different direction.
Some fans would argue otherwise. I think that they're just bitter. But yes, no, I would agree.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so I would agree with his assessment that, yeah, whatever they do, and we've talked about this too. It's got to be a different take. It can't be a retread. It can't be hitting themes that the last series hit, because they're going to get crucified for it. Because if anything, the fans of the last series will most likely be watching this new one to see what is being offered, and to see just out of interest to see, okay, how is this franchise going to go now in a new direction. And so so all that to say that the folks behind it, Mr. Esmail and his crack writing team, who've been at it for now, I mean, we're at 160 episodes, and I think we were talking
5 years, sir. 5 years.
I think we were talking about this back in like the single digit episodes.
Well, that was because this was supposed to be like the flagship crown jewel of the launch of Peacock. And now Peacock has launched.
The Paul Levesque era has arrived before this series has. For crying
let's
out loud.
think about this. We were making fun of the idea of the name for the app in general, the name for the streaming service. At least I was definitely given this name the business. And not only have we managed to get to a point, oh, Timmy boy, the pipes are calling.
Sorry, you were saying?
So we've gotten to the point where, not only has this app that we tooled on, this streaming service has launched. Other content that was being made specifically for this streaming service has also launched. And it's now into multiple seasons. Things have launched and been canceled. WWE has come on board.
Yeah.
All of these things have been happening. And we still don't even have casting ideas. No, I can't decide if this is like one of the like biggest train wrecks in all of like Hollywood TV history, or if Sam Esmail is like a scam artist par excellence. I don't know. Because on one hand, I'm like, you know what? If he's scamming them, it's either the most brilliant, eloquent scam, or people in Hollywood are just that friggin' stupid. Yeah. And if they are that stupid, let me at them. Have I got some ideas for them? I can come up with this stuff. You want me to come up with and just sit in developmental hell for 5 years and get paid? I can do that. Let me float a couple thousand ideas past you. I'm good at that. Hell, that means I don't have to do any actual work.
Yep.
But anyways, cheers to this never happening.
Indeed. And, Callum, Keith Rennie, get on with your bad self in terms of demanding the best from whatever this may be. And best of luck on Star Trek Discovery Season 5.
Now I'm just hoping for another BSG like crossover there. Like, can't we get, I'm just saying, I don't know, Katie Sackhoff, it doesn't have any filming obligations lately, so I don't know, just maybe.
Hey, Bo-Katan might be,
random alien. Just saying,
might be in the offing there. May have her own, series or something. Maybe you can show up there as a former Mandalorian turned.
Dude, have you watched any Star Trek Discovery yet?
I've only watched the first 2 episodes, and that was like a year and a half ago. I just didn't get going with it enough. So
I watched the most recent episode for season 5, and it actually made me want to go back and watch and start doing a rewatch. like
Oh.
as I'm going through season 5. Like I forgot
Interesting.
how much I just really liked this show.
Yeah.
And how much it was just like, it felt very the same, but then very different. And I so dug that. And going back and rewatching like the pilot episode, I'm like, oh my gosh.
Nice.
Yeah, this is something. This is something right out of the gate.
Very nice.
But yeah, definitely. Get back on that horse, sir. Get back on that horse.
All right. I will try to do so. I'm going to skip over our second one, go to our third one so we can finish strong.
Yes.
Want to get your quick hot take thoughts on what I know you've been jonesing for. A new Matrix movie has been announced. We're going to have a 5th movie, folks.
Is this like Neo in the nursing home? I mean...
Not sure. What we know, the upcoming Matrix film will be written and directed by Oscar nominee Drew Goddard, who is known for directing the 2011 film The Cabin in the Woods and co-writing Matt Damon's 2015 film The Martian. Goddard will produce the new Matrix movie with his Goddard Textiles partner Sarah Esberg, Lana Wachowski, who with Lily has been a driving force in the Matrix franchise, will act as an executive producer. Since the film is in its early days, no details have been announced, and there's no synopsis. But there is going to be a 5th movie that will be coming out. Drew came to Warner Brothers with a new idea that we all believe would be an incredible way to continue the Matrix world by both honoring what Lana and Lily began over 25 years ago and offering a unique perspective based on his own love of the series and characters. So we have some hope that maybe we might get some pretty good content that is Matrix branded. What do you say, sir? That's it? Nothing more?
Much.
Come on.
It reminds me of that thing where Paul Heyman, he said,
What's eh?
He
said eh.
No, that really is like how I feel about it. I don't like, it felt like the last movie was an apt way to tie things up. If you were indeed going to tie things up.
Yeah.
And I get that a lot of folks were not excited about it, and a lot of folks just had very strong feelings on it. As someone who watched the original Matrix movies in the theater and who watched the original Matrix and was just like, mind blown by it. It felt like an apt ending. Like it was a nice little love letter to the entire concept and all of that. And I appreciated it.
Yeah. Yeah, I did too.
This to me feels like very much of we need to find a way to then hand off the franchise. This feels like this could very much turn into Indiana Jones and the Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, which honestly, I still have not watched. I have not watched that or Dial of Destiny because I just have no interest.
Dial of Destiny was, I felt better than Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, but
from
still
what
not,
I've heard, I mean, that's like saying, well, I don't know. Anyways, a turd sandwich is much better warmed up than it is cold.
Come on now.
Just from what I've heard. It feels very much like to me like, okay, now we need to continue the franchise. So we're going to find some way to pass the torch to someone else, to a younger actor or actors, and then we're going to continue this thing. Because at a certain point, you're going to get to a point where Keanu is not going to want to do it.
Mm-hmm.
If he even wants to do this movie.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, maybe if you get some more details, but right now, literally, is about all I can muster for it.
Yeah.
How about you?
I don't know.
Not to kill your buzz on it.
I
Sorry.
am a sucker for the Matrix movies. I know Resurrection was not well received. They mentioned in the article about how it bombed in theaters, but they failed to mention it was also still in the midst of COVID, and so it was definitely one of those
bombed. Nothing did.
Right. It was one of those movies that also came out on streaming pretty much around the same time.
Was it a day and date like a same?
Actually, it might have been same day. It might have been both in theaters and streaming.
Because I don't think I saw that in the theater.
No, I watched it on HBO Max at the time, which is now just Max.
God, don't get me started.
But no, I've always enjoyed the brand. this last one too, and again, if you have the understanding that, I forget if it was Lana or Lily, but one of them wrote it with their parents in mind, and I thought it was an interesting story to tell around
the fourth movie. You mean
this fourth movie? Yeah.
Okay.
The Resurrections movie was kind of inspired by, I thought I read their experience of losing their parents to old age, and just kind of what they would hope for them. And so when you kind of view it through that lens of those who have passed and what you kind of hope would be where they are resting, and that sort of thing, I appreciated what they did with it. I also appreciated what they did with it in terms of making kind of fun of the fact of how a lot of studios basically take these properties and just kind of milk them for all that they're worth, and really kind of and predicted what was going to happen, right?
And the fifth movie kind of just seems to miss the irony of that.
Indeed.
Anyways, the idea of a fifth movie, I should say.
But that's always what the film has. I feel like the film has always, or that brand has always been, or the franchise, I should say, has always been about, that I'm trying to think the right word for it, but having that take on society, and on culture, and how we are kind of prisoners of our own making in a lot of ways. And I'm curious what they would come up with with a new director, with the fact that this person has a different idea of where to take the Matrix. I think it'd be kind of interesting to see what they do with it, and hopefully it is, quite honestly, I hope it is if it does involve Keanu, I hope it's minimal. I hope it's kind of in a lot of ways, like if Keanu is kind of like the Luke Skywalker of that franchise, it'd be nice for them to, in the same way we want to see with Star Wars, break away from the Skywalker family, like do something new, do something different, something outside of Neo and Trinity. We've seen that story told from beginning to end, and from resurrection to happy ending. And so it's let's move on, and this universe they created probably has some other stories to tell, and it'd be kind of interesting to see if they can put something out there with some that can generate that level of interest. But it's going to be a challenge. It's hard to replicate the magic of that first movie. It really is.
And I think that's the thing. Like I'm still of the opinion, and I'm probably wrong, like any number of conspiracy theories and theorists and all that. But I'll still defend the fact that I really think that there really was not a thought of a trilogy of Matrix movies, and that the Matrix itself would have functioned incredibly well and just fine as a standalone one-shot film. Boom. I mean, 2 and 3, fine, and then we get to 4, fine. All right, fine. But I just wonder, in many ways, how much of the interest of this movie, of this story, comes down to Neo's journey, and how much you then need to turn this into something else in order to get to somebody else's journey. And really, it's all about the one, and Neo was the one. Why do I want to know about some other schmuck in this simulation who might have been doing interesting things, but still they're not the one? So everything is going to be retrofitted and I just wonder, why not just let the thing be? Go find the next Matrix, But I mean, then again, it's not my toy to say who can play with it. So I didn't write it. I didn't direct it and all that. So if they want to do it, go right ahead. I can't muster a whole lot of excitement for it at the moment, I guess.
Yeah. We will see, though, sir. We will see.
We will. That is for sure.
Before we wrap up the Week in Geek, we did have a piece of footage that did drop today that gives us something concrete, something to look forward to. Pop that bottle, sir.
Yeah.
And so, ladies and gentlemen, as we are known to do here on the Range of Idiocy, we are going to queue up this trailer for Deadpool and Wolverine, the official trailer.
Drop today, ladies and gentlemen. Already right now, what is it at? 5.5 million views.
5.5 million.
11
views.
hours.
Yep.
Oh.
Yep. Sweet views. But we're going to queue this up. We're going to start it at 000, and we're going to just kind of do our own talk track over it while we watch. And I got to make sure I turn my volume down.
Yeah.
Because otherwise I'm not going to hear a darn thing you're going to say. So, with all that being said, are you set to go, sir?
I am. Let's roll
As
that
we'll talk
beautiful
about
theme
shortly.
footage.
Are you ready? All right. What?
I don't know. Go right ahead.
Yes, I'm ready.
That was my attempt at doing a Brian Johnson. I apologize. It's like a cat who got its private part squeezed in a vice. All right, we're going to watch the trailer here or what?
Oh, yeah. All right, there we go. Are you ready, sir?
Yes.
3, 2, 1. Here we go. Oh, nothing like Wolverine sitting at a bar. Oh, they're using the F word already. Things are getting real in this movie.
Like a dozen times just in this trailer.
He calls him a lady. I love that. Nothing like working whiskey into it.
Uh-huh. Now, notice the 20th Century Fox.
Yeah. So this is where I don't know if this is the Void.
I think it is.
So, or
I love how
maybe
this is like a Wolverine that is like obviously from. Yeah.
Yep.
And Wolvie in the classic yellow outfit.
Yes.
So good. Ooh.
Claws in the crotch. That's gonna hurt.
Yeah.
I have read that.
I love how self-aware Deadpool is. It makes things so interesting.
I like the working in of living. What is this song again?
It's like a prayer.
Like a prayer. Like I don't want to say living on a prayer. That's Bon Jovi.
Totally different. Although that could work too.
I did
slow walk. Gotta love it.
Now
the thing is in the background there, that store, Liefeld's.
Yeah.
2 feet. Rob Liefeld is the guy who originally developed Deadpool, and he was infamous for the fact that he could not draw feet.
Nice. I feel like there's some like old guy who's like arming them up or something like that.
Now that's gonna be a Sorcerer Supreme, right?
Maybe
Ant-Man's corpse as a lair.
Interesting. There's a lot of Wolverine and Deadpool stabbing each other.
Yes.
Now, is that Charles Xavier, that bald guy that bald person?
No.
We saw?
I think that's supposed to be like the Sorcerer Supreme because
Okay.
that's the swirly
okay
thing there. Oh, I love this.
I love how they acknowledge Feige. That's phenomenal.
Yeah.
All the different phrases for what cocaine can be called. There we go.
Do you want to build a snowman? Ladies and gentlemen, I will be seeing that in the theater. I will be pre-buying tickets, so I will see it opening night. I will probably see it multiple times in the theater.
Oh, the question is, are you going to see it at a midnight showing, or are you concerned that there will be a Trade Federation, dust up?
I have
Deadpool's
zero concerns about this one, sir. I have full confidence.
Very nice.
I've already like just the fact that number one, I mean, like growing up reading comic books, Wolverine was my favorite X-Man. I mean, of course.
How could you not?
And then even in the X-Men movies, whichever iteration of them that you go to, was always a favorite character of mine. And so but to then see Logan was like, oh my gosh, this is the Wolverine that, you wanted to see. You didn't want to see the sanitized, like you wanted to see full on berserker Wolverine and got to see it then. But it was like such a bummer because it's like, oh, and that's it. And to get like this nice little like, but wait, it's almost like it's like an old infomercial, but wait, there's more. You order the Sham Wow, and now you get, Sham Whiff or whatever. I like the Sham Wow perfume. Do you want to smell like a ShamWow?
Righty then.
I have no idea where I'm going with this.
I don't know either, but I'm holding on for the ride.
But to be able to see like Wolverine as you would want Wolverine to be like full, because and the most humorous part of this trailer, ladies and gentlemen, let's just be clear, is at the very end where it's like it comes up with the title and then this movie has not yet been rated. Like, is there any friggin' doubt what this movie is going to be rated? The only doubt is whether it's going to be like R or they're going to have to like what they're going to have to cut to keep it from NC-17, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
And quite honestly, if there is an NC-17 cut of this movie where it's like, you know how we had to like trim off like 20 seconds worth of blood here and this and that, like, sign me up for all of that. I want it all. I want to mainline that.
Uncle Todd has a bit of a bloodlust going on there, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I mean, it's humorous bloodlust. But yeah, this movie just looks effing awesome. And yes, I will watch the previous two movies at least twice each in preparation for this movie. All in. Christmas is coming early, ladies and gentlemen. July 26th.
Very nice. Very nice.
You haven't watched any of the Deadpool movies still, right?
I have not. Now, the
comment
I've been hold on. I've been trying to make a comment for like the last 5 minutes, dude.
We need to watch these, and we need to put it on Twitch. That's what we're going to do. Get your live reaction. That's what I want. I want to have a record of that. Okay, now proceed.
Can I now? Is it safe? Good God.
But wait, this other thing.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, go ahead.
I'm just messing with you.
Yeah, you are messing with me.
Yes, as usual.
The item I read that was of interest and was kind of called out in this trailer is that they're going to introduce the concept of there being apparently key figures or persons that exist in these multiverses, and if any of them are killed, it actually causes an incursion. Like they are such a crucial part of this multiverse's existence that if they are eliminated or destroyed, then their universe collapses, apparently. And so I am wondering if that is what Deadpool is referring to when he mentions to Wolverine that he could not, like whatever the line was, he said something about he couldn't save his world or something to that effect. Because this may be a concept that they work in that plays into the Avengers movies, into Secret Wars. There's also, this was an article I was going to use in Week in Geek, and I pushed it off till our next episode, but there is supposed to be a Thor cameo in this movie from what has been reported. But that it may have a little bit of an impact on what we end up seeing in Secret Wars. So
it'd be great is if it was Luke Hemsworth, like playing the Thor from like those theatrical productions. If it was like Luke Hemsworth and Matt Damon as like Loki and Thor.
Mm-hmm.
So the one thing it reminded me of the and I'm blanking on this. Maybe you can remember.
Yes.
It's a movie or TV show where they're talking about like there are fixed points in time that you can't change.
Fixed points in time. It sounds familiar, but
I can actually hear a character saying it. I just cannot for the life of me remember what it is.
Is it like the reverse of Loki where there are like certain events or no, like Loki was about when cataclysms happen, you can kind of hide yourself in them so you can't.
No, it wasn't that. It was like it was talking about it was dealing with, I think, time travel, and it was this idea that there are fixed points in time that you cannot change. Like this always happens.
Yeah.
Anyways, but that reminds me of that, and that's an interesting concept. I like that idea. Yeah,
it is. Well, and it's interesting too in terms of the multiverses as well to, have, start like we've seen or we've talked about the multiverses or heard about the multiverse, through various shows over the last couple of years, Loki being the one that Loki season 2, of course, really being the one that concretely kind of like, ties the knot, so to speak, on them, because now Loki's essentially powering it all. But we've not understood, outside of Doctor Strange 2, we really haven't gotten any sense of what the dynamics around these different multiverses are. We've heard of incursions, but we haven't. There's been all these concepts that have been introduced across the movies, but none of them have been followed through on. So it'll be interesting if this movie starts to tie some of that stuff together in terms of the dynamics of them, and the fact that there may be these sort of like critical foundational people that have to play out their role in their universe, otherwise it collapses. And if Wolverine is one who has been ripped away, for whatever reason, and or killed prematurely, so his universe collapses. If Deadpool is also not in kind of a similar situation himself, because he seems to be very concerned about saving his universe also. So it'll be interesting. I'm hoping this is a vehicle they use to kind of forward the multiversal story they're trying to tell. But unfortunately, this fifth arc that they're going on with Marvel is just not. It's been a little rough.
Well, they've set the table with a lot of options, and they haven't really been able to bring any of them home.
Yeah.
You know who? I know who they need to call.
Ghostbusters.
Triple H. Bring the Paul Levesque era to Marvel. Think about it. The dude that's the thing that he's started to do. He kind of keeps you guessing because he sets the table with a lot of different options. What was this?
Oh, I was doing the Roman Reigns, the tribal chief one. Like don't they do the?
Well, I'm talking about Triple H.
Oh, I know, but you said Triple H, and I was extending it into the WWE universe. Like you get Roman Reigns, you get the Wise Man showing up. Like
Oh, dude, if Paul Heyman in a Marvel movie? Are you kidding me?
Wolverine? What are you doing here? You should be doing I mean, it's like absolutely. You get Paul in there, he'll chew up scenery for 10 minutes running his mouth. You know what I mean?
Yes, my tribal chief. Shut up. Yes, my tribal chief.
Gotta love him.
Yeah, I'm hoping that the reason why they kind of have cleared the decks in Marvel world, and this is the one piece of Marvel content we're getting. I'm wondering if they're basically using this as a bit of a soft reset to be like, okay, everything is bat spit insane in Deadpool anyways, so maybe we can just kind of turn everything around with this. You know what I mean? I don't know.
It is interesting how they're leaning on the TVA, though. It's fun to see them take a concept out of Loki and bring it into this, and not entirely sure where it's going to go, but it is intriguing.
It is.
It is intriguing.
Can't wait. Cannot wait.
And with that, Deadpool, Wolverine, about 10 different ways of saying the word cocaine through various phraseology.
White Girl Interrupted?
That, my friends, is a Snowman's Week in Geek.
And scene. Well, thank you, sir, for bringing all that together and for not just simply cutting and pasting this week. I really appreciate that you actually put in the work. You put in the work.
I don't have much to do on Saturday morning, so no, I'm kidding.
You gotta fry up approximately 8 pounds of bacon for the whole week.
I go to do my workout. I hit the Starbucks, get a coffee, sausage, egg, and cheese, and then I.
You actually get the sausage, egg, and cheese from Starbucks?
Yeah, it's really good.
Really?
I love it.
Absolutely, just looks like Fisher Price to me. Anyways, I can't eat any of it because I'm a gluten free.
They have egg bites.
I can't bring myself to pay like the $20 per egg bite that they want at Starbucks. I can make them at home.
You do eat them quite quickly, by the way.
I'm the guy who's like, we got egg bites at home. That's right. Anyways, so we are going to do one of our album one-on-ones, first one in a year and a half, and to kick that off, we are talking about 2 classic AC/DC albums. First, we'll be dealing with 1979's Highway to Hell with lead singer Bon Scott, and then we'll be jumping forward in time to 1990 with The Razor's Edge with Brian Johnson on lead vocals.
Trying to do my Razor Ramon right there. Like he used to walk the aisle, but it's hard to do that when I'm sitting in a chair. So.
Yeah, and even worse when I crop your video. It just looks like your shoulders are moving. I one of these days I'm going to crop it real tight so it'd be like MODOK. That'll be terrifying. Anyways, one question I just want to answer right out the gate. We actually talked about doing Back in Black. for the Brian Johnson album, and we realized very quickly that that's just totally unfair to all the other albums. And this is a topic for another day we've actually discussed doing as a show idea. But Back in Black is basically a greatest hits album that is not a greatest hits album.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's one of those albums.
It's so good.
Yeah, there's nary a song on it that is unfamiliar to anyone who is vaguely aware of AC/DC.
Yes.
For those who are very aware of AC/DC, it functions as a like mid-career greatest hits album. So that was just right out the gate. We had to like, okay, no, that's just unfair. So we went with both albums that really have some strong singles on them. And that were very kind of defining moments for those iterations of the band. And so the man they call Tim was in charge of listening to The Razor's Edge. I grabbed Highway to Hell, mostly because I have learned the hard way with my band. I can actually sing Bon Scott songs much easier than Brian Johnson songs. Good sweet God, does that man sing high.
Who, Brian Johnson?
Yeah, it's like I feel like I'm strangling myself every time I'm trying to sing.
Well, and he does that gravelly thing too, which I'm like, how has he not like destroyed his like vocal cords in the process?
If you listen to versions then and now, it's rough. I mean, granted, it's rough as a singer aging, anyways. Like voices age in different ways for different people, and some folks, you're already right up against that edge.
Yep.
And when that edge starts getting dulled, it's rough. It's rough. Yep. Anyways. So how do you want to do this, sir? Do you want to go first? Do you want me to go first? Or do we want to kind of run through some high points here?
Well, why don't we run through yours first, but let's go through the stats. Got a lot of notes here. So Highway to Hell, you mentioned 1979.
Yes.
So we got Bon Scott on lead vocals, Angus Young, of course, on lead guitar, Malcolm Young on rhythm guitar, backing vocals, Cliff Williams on bass, backing vocals, Phil Rudd on drums.
A classic lineup, really.
I'm not going to go through all the technical, but the big name to stand out is the producer, Robert John, quote unquote, Mutt Lang, who's
pre-Def Leppard, I believe.
Pre-Def Leppard. Interesting story. I have it down in the notes that. Let me see. Did I not put it in the notes? Mark the Shifton producer. Okay, yep. So doing Highway to Hell, Mark the Shifton producer from Malcolm and Angus Young's brother George to Robert John Mutt Lang. Apparently the first producer that was going to work with them, they were not happy about working with another producer. Well, and this guy who they were first paired up with was just not what they wanted to do. Like they were apparently very not happy with him.
Because the label didn't want them working with Angus, their brother, anymore.
They didn't feel he was brother, even though he was well established. They had 5-6 albums under their belts at that point.
Which is I chalk that up a lot to like, even when it's weird because it's tough for us to think about this now in today's world where everything is so interconnected, and you don't think about the differences between like the United States and Australia.
Yeah.
Especially like two English-speaking countries. I mean, slightly different English, but still two countries that essentially speak the same language. And yet it's looked at as this whole other thing, like the whole idea of the Road Warrior movie having to be redubbed with American actors and all this stuff. It's just bizarre, and how I could see that being an anti-sentiment. Like, oh no, we want like, those are Australian records.
Mm-hmm.
This is we want a real producer now. Like, they can't possibly be a good producer in Australia. That sort of thing.
That's what it was. They wanted a producer that could help produce some more poppy, sort of mainstream level rock songs.
Yeah.
And this guy was going to have them do some like covers of some, blues songs and some other stuff. And they just didn't want to do it.
Terrible. But I mean, I will say, like, Mutt Lang, definitely a step up. I mean, they kind of got it right in a way, but they kind of got it right for the wrong reason, I think.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Let's see. So awards, Highway to Hell, 2006 was certified in the U.S. 7 times platinum. So 7 million units sold, which is crazy.
Yeah.
In the UK, it has been certified platinum at 300,000 units sold, which seemed really low to me, but I don't know. Maybe it's a population sort of thing. I don't know.
I mean, if you're just dealing exclusively with UK,
Yeah.
Or depending on, if that's just the original run, maybe.
And then for some reason, in Australia, it's been certified 5 times platinum, but only had 350,000 units sold. So I'm not entirely sure what that's about. But
It's a conversion rate. It's
190
Australian dollars.
There you go. 199th out of 500 greatest albums of all time. It came in at 199, which is not too shabby.
No, actually, yeah, that's actually
it's above average. It's above 250.
Low, but it's
above 250.
It's about right. Yeah.
What other notes? Second highest selling album by AC/DC behind Back in Black, considered one of the greatest hard rock albums ever made. We already talked about when it was released. This was an interesting one. Night Prowler, the last song, was a problematic song for the band because apparently it had been tied to serial killer Richard Ramirez. The band claims it was about a boy sneaking into his girlfriend's bedroom while her parents are asleep, in spite of lyrics such as, "And you don't feel the steel till it's hanging out your back." So you can Wikipedia this to get the rest of the story, but apparently this
which I believe the song predated the serial killer.
I think so.
I believe so.
Yes, it did. I think it did predate. But the serial killer himself was just not good news. I'm trying. The reason I'm saying it that way is because I think when he. Shoot, I should have written all this. I should have copied and pasted.
Anyways, I'll put a link to the Wikipedia page.
Put a link to the Wikipedia. But long story short, it kind of started the whole. I don't mean to say it started this, but it caused the band a lot of PR issues.
Yeah.
There was an issue of, back in the 80s, a lot of rock was kind of linked, immediately to satanic influence and all this sort of stuff. And this serial killer had kind of a tie to that. So that's where I was kind of going with it. Was there was a lot of stuff tied to him that got brought into the song with the band, which was not their intention. And it just turned into kind of a PR cluster for them. So not great. In 2013, AC/DC fans, Stevie Diamond and John Mortar, who was behind a Rage Against the Machine Facebook campaign in 2009, spearheaded a Facebook campaign to make Highway to Hell a Christmas #1 single on the UK singles charts to celebrate the 40th anniversary of AC/DC. And to prevent the X Factor, I guess that was a band at the time, from achieving another #1 hit single, the campaign raised funds for Feel Yourself, a testicular cancer awareness charity. There you go. The song peaked at #4 on the official singles chart.
AC/DC did have a song called Big Balls.
That is true. That feels more appropriate for that sort of... Yeah, anyways.
It does, but it's a good backstory.
And then there's the entertainment links that were very interesting. So
no matter how you look at it, is low-hanging fruit.
So how has this album been carried into entertainment? Here's a few examples. Highway to Hell has been used in Iron Man 2, Final Destination 2, Megamind, Percy Jackson and the Olympians, The Lightning Thief. That is a long title. Percy Jackson. Also, the song "If You Want Blood, You've Got It" was in Empire Records. The Longest Yard, not Yar. The Dukes of Hazzard, 2005 Dukes of Hazzard, by the way, not the
and the Longest Yard, the Adam Sandler version.
The Adam Sandler version. Thank you.
Which did not happen. So let's just all pretend.
Okay.
That didn't.
Shoot 'Em Up and Final Destination 5. So Final Destination seems to be a movie that uses quite a bit of AC/DC. The song "Walk All Over You" was used in the movie Grown Ups. I think it's an Adam Sandler vehicle as well.
It is. It's Adam Sandler, Rob Schneider, Chris Rock, Kevin James. Like it's one of those movies where it's like it's Sandler and his friends getting paid to hang out.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, God bless if you can do that, dude. If one of us gets a movie contract,
there you go. And then finally, the song "Touch Too Much" was used in Grand Theft Auto 4, The Lost and the Damned, and ironically, and I don't remember this, SummerSlam 1998. Which is kind of a strange choice of a song, but alrighty then.
Now that we know what we know about Vince McMahon, it gets a little uncomfortable.
Just a smidge. All right, sir. Now that we have walked through the data and the minutia of Highway to Hell, why don't you tell us about the album, your experience listening to it, and some of the high points and low points?
Okay, so first of all, I thought it was very interesting. How can I put this? it really almost feels like Highway to Hell, the song, sits sonically so apart from the other songs to me.
Yeah.
And I think it might be like a trick that your mind plays on you, like one of those deals where people imagine a movie that they swear it happened.
Yeah.
But it actually never happened. It's this weird group hallucination or whatever. It might just be the fact that song is just that epic and that recognizable that to me it just sounds differently. And that's where I really hear Mutt Lange's influence, because I hear that song and I'm like, this is very different than everything that comes before this. Like, this is different than TNT. This is different than, all. And I think TNT came before this. But anyways.
Yeah, I did. Oi. Oi.
Which is a great song to friggin' do. I love doing that song. That is one of the AC/DC songs that my band does.
Do you guys do the oi?
Oh,
oi.
You have to.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. And if you don't get the bar to sing along, then you're incompetent. Oh
gosh.
But I can again, I feel like the label got it right for the wrong reasons. They did need someone to kind of help the band get to that next level and to craft some of the songs and to really refine them. And apparently Mutt Lange was very good at that. And in a way where, even helping with Bon Scott's singing and things like that, to me, this album I can totally understand this being ranked as one of the best hard rock albums of all times, because it really is. There's only one whiff on this album. I mean, of course, Highway to Hell stands out because it is that iconic song. But the rest of the album is really fracking solid. I mean, Girl Got Rhythm, that is just like a good old school rock and roll track. Like, it's got a swing and a swagger to it, man.
Oh, yeah.
And that is one of the things I truly love about AC/DC, is the fact that, I mean, I forget how long this band has been around, but they've been putting out the same album ever since they started. It is the same album that comes out every single time, with the exception of Back in Black, where they managed to pack more in, but it's the same album. But that is a testament to their greatness, is the fact that they are essentially releasing the same album over and over and over again, but it's that damn good. Like, it rocks that hard that you're like, I don't care if it's the same album with a new coat of paint.
Might I rebut?
I'm still going to listen to it.
Might I rebut?
Yes.
And before I rebut, just to correct a little factoid here. So this came out in 1979. Night Prowler. The issue with Richard Ramirez didn't happen until the mid 80s. So he was the idea was he led everyone to believe he was kind of influenced by this.
Yeah.
So that's all. But that issue with, because as I was doing some of the research, I was reading about it, especially with the Razor's Edge and some of the reviews and critique that album received, how it is more of the same from the band and that kind of thing. I struggle with that because, they have this ability, and I'll when you get talking again, I'll look up what song it was, but they have this ability to just create energetic, strong rock songs.
Yes.
And they do it, but it's not the same song over and over again. You know what I mean?
No, but
it's not the same. It's not like they're not being creative. They just bring, and you're not saying that, but I'm more responding to some of the the music critics that were writing about Razor's Edge, was that, they seem to not be able to break out of like one sort of mode or pattern. And I get it to some degree, but on the other hand, that's also how they've had tremendous success, because they bring this energy into their performance that I would say a lot of bands lack. And
yes,
they are able to, I mean, I remember there's a clip on YouTube of them performing, I think it was for the first time at the Grammy Awards or something. And
oh yes. And I was going to cite that. Yes.
It was such a jacked performance.
Well, but it's
this was like in 2012 or something like that.
They did two songs.
Yep.
and the second one was Highway to Hell.
Yep.
The first one was like the single off of the new album, and everyone was very kind of like, because awards audiences are, for lack of a better term, prissy. Everybody's there to look good, and nobody wants to be seen as too much of a fan or this and that. So everyone's very reserved. So the first song, everyone's like, Highway, but then they kind of finish that song, and then all of a sudden, people
but even that
lost their ever loving minds because all of a sudden it hit that point that it took this prissy crowd to that base level of like, this friggin' rocks. And hello.
I was kind of hoping she was going to scare you.
No, I heard the floorboards.
So she's got to learn how to float. She's got to float into the room.
She needs to be like a ninja. She's going to swing down from the ceiling sometime. Ah! Yes. Okay. You're going to bed?
Are you going to chastise her for reading before bed, by the way?
No. You know, the funny thing is, you mentioned Space Camp. I've seen a lot of... Did you know there is a movie called Space Camp? Where a bunch of kids who go to space camp accidentally get launched into space. It's a terrible movie, but we'll have to watch it sometime. You'll get a kick out of it. There's a robot.
You see how bad 80s movies can be.
It's Tom Skerritt. Anyways, you're going to bed? Okay. Good night. Love you. All right. Where was I?
And the roving pile of blankets is now departed.
But yeah, no, it's that thing where it pulled this audience, and that is why, honestly, and when I say that they've released the same album, and that's without like any tongue in cheek, any sarcasm, nothing. Because I really, I was thinking about it today. As much as I love other rock bands, for me, Aerosmith is that's like my base level native tongue rock band. Like I just loved Aerosmith. Some people it's the Stones, some people it's the Beatles. That was my band. But however, if I had to come up with like the perfect rock machine, AC/DC, Infectious Groove, which originates, a lot of this stuff is like the rhythm guitar, like Malcolm Young. Just the band really drives from that position in this band, which is kind of unique, I think, because Angus Young is as great as he is on stage. He's not the greatest lead guitar player in history. Like his stuff, it sounds like they just went through and left all the mistakes in. Like there is a sloppiness that I just love. Like, it's just like, well, that was the best take. Screw it. I don't care that I botched those 2 notes. The rest of it is great. But they nail the energy. They nail the rebelliousness in that energy. They don't take themselves too seriously. Like there's so many double entendres and just like a little bit of a smirk to lyrics and all of it. It encapsulates what rock and roll is supposed to be. It's not supposed to be this ultra serious thing and all that. It's like, I think Alice Cooper said at one point, he's like, tell me about your girlfriend. Like that's what I want to hear. I don't want to hear about this or that and the other rocket ships and all this. Like, tell me about your girlfriend. That's what I want to hear about in a rock song. And they've never cheesed out and done the power ballad. They've never taken themselves all that seriously. They just come out, and whether it's a 40 some odd minute album or a 2-hour concert, they just come out and punch you in the friggin' face and smile and wave goodbye. I don't know what else you want. Like, if you ask me, if I had to drive from Maine to California and you can only pick one band to listen to the entire way, I would be hard-pressed to choose between Tower of Power, my all-time favorite band, a discography that crosses almost 60 years now, or AC/DC. Because ladies and gentlemen, that is driving music. It is. There should be a scientific study of how much you can beat the Google Maps estimate just by listening to AC/DC on the train. It is. I bet it is a scientific fact that you can shave 5 minutes off of any journey just by listening to AC/DC. It's beautiful. It is a beautiful thing. And this album is that, like, really, Highway to Hell is the standout single. Like, this doesn't have like a bunch of different things, but they're all really good. They rock really hard, and they have a bit of a swing. You know, like there is that the quote of Keith Richards one time talking. He's like, I really like rock, but I'm kind of partial to the roll. Like as hard as AC/DC could go, there's also those songs like Girl Got Rhythm, a few others that are just like, they have that swing, and that's that blues influence that is in there that I just friggin' love. Touch Too Much was a good tune, and it was a pick for a single. To this day, I don't understand how If You Want Blood didn't get a release as a single off of this album.
Yeah.
Because to me, that is by far the second or third best song on this album. The slathering of blues that's in there, but also then just taken to like this nth degree until it's on the verge of just being unrecognizable, but it's still there. I love that. For me, of course, favorite song, Highway to Hell. Of course. I mean, that's a gigantic moment. Least favorite song, Love Hungry Man. That is the one whiff on the album. And even Angus doesn't like this song. Specifically mentions his least favorite AC/DC song, and it is this one. I think he said something like, I must have had some bad pizza the night before, because shockingly enough, Angus doesn't drink or do drugs. He's a teetotaler. Like he has a glass of milk apparently and goes to bed after the show, which is insane to me. I was like, dude,
I think it's hysterical. I mean, it's a complete antithesis of the role, right?
I mean, here you're like jumping around on school in a schoolboy outfit on stage. I would think you'd have to be loaded the first time you did that.
By the way, he was dressed as that when they did the Grammys gig, and I think then he was probably in his 60s at that point, but still hysterical.
Oh yes. Biggest surprise kind of for me, because I've known of the song, but just again realizing how good If You Want Blood, You've Got It is such a great song. Oh my gosh. And this was the last album with Bon as lead singer. He would be dead under a year after this album was released. Which is a shame. The fact that the guy managed to drink himself into the grave, but in this album, taking a guy whose voice, to be nice, you could call it unique.
Yeah,
had a lot of ugliness to it. Man, they managed to leverage it to its utmost in this album and really kind of use it, those bits of ugliness to great effect.
Yeah.
But top to bottom, with the exception of one song, fantastic, fan-friggin-tastic album.
Nice.
And are we doing the scale now or at the end?
We'll do it at the end.
Okay.
I can go through anything else on this one, or can I jump into
the Razor's
Edge?
All right. Jump in, because I've been yapping.
All right. And just to be complete, we said 1979 was when it came out. Let me look at my notes. July 27th of 79. So right around, what'd you say? Deadpool Wolverine's July 26th. So there we go. 10 songs on this album, clocking in at 41 minutes, 40 seconds.
Nice, tidy album,
Indeed. Indeed. So now we get to The Razor's Edge, done in 1990. Of course, lead singer now is Brian Johnson, but very much similar makeup of band, minus the drummer. Angus Young on lead guitar, Malcolm on rhythm guitar, backing vocals, Cliff on the bass, also backing vocals, Cliff Williams. And then we have Chris Slade, the Stone Cold Steve Austin of the AC/DC drummers.
Actually, wait a minute. Wasn't Chris Slade also a linebacker for the Patriots back in the 90s?
He might have been.
I'll look that up.
Or to make it even more recent in terms of my cultural reference, he is the Fade Rotha of the drummers of AC/DC. That is a call to Dune and the villainous character he played in Dune Part 2. Nice. Nonetheless, from a technical standpoint,
Chris Slade was a New England Patriots.
Was Chris Slade? Okay. From a technical standpoint, not really anyone of I don't mean to say it this way, of big note here, not Mutt Lange as a producer, Bruce Fairbairn. What was interesting here is the writers, Angus and Malcolm Young, from the Sleuthing I Did. This actually, for a variety of reasons, I think Brian Johnson was out of pocket. What else? Cliff was out of pocket. And I think Chris Slade they were just bringing into the band. So Angus and Malcolm wrote most of the songs, and that would end up being the norm after this album. Apparently, was them writing most of the music. This album for awards went 5 times platinum in the U.S., 5 million sold. Went gold in the U.K. at 100K a unit sold, and 5. I don't get this 5K platinum. Oh yeah, no, that's fine. 5X platinum, 5 times platinum.
It's a conversion rate, man.
350,000 units sold in Australia. This is the only studio album to feature Welsh drummer Chris Slade. He drummed from 89 to 94, but apparently this was the only album that he recorded on. All songs written by the Young Brothers, starting with this one through now. The album peaked at number 2 on the Billboard 200, stayed there for 77 consecutive weeks, not the 82 weeks that Eric Bischoff achieved with WCW Nitro.
83,
Raw.
sir.
83. Thank you for correcting me on that one. It is viewed as one of the strongest albums in over a half decade from the band. So this was definitely seen as a kind of as a renewal, a rebirth, a renaissance album for this band.
I think that's why it's a good comparison between the two, really.
Yeah, 100%. I absolutely agree. It was also criticized for its similarity to past AC/DC works, as we just talked through. But I don't believe in that criticism. I think it's simply a byproduct of the energy and the work they bring to their music. Money Talks, one of AC/DC's biggest singles, peaking at 23 on the Billboard Hot 100, which made me ask the question, is there a just Billboard 100? Is there a Billboard Cold 100? Or is it just Billboard Hot 100?
It's a Billboard Lukewarm 100. It's all
a tepid Billboard. I'd like a tepid.
The funny here's a little bit of trivia for you. Money Talks is actually one of my least favorite AC/DC songs. I don't know why. It's like I have the AC/DC Essentials.
Come on, love it for the money.
Something about it, just I'm like,
Money Talks.
I mean, it's an earworm, no doubt.
It is.
But give me Thunderstuck.
BS walks.
Oh, gosh.
Hey, I'm doing a pretty good Brian Johnson right there.
Yeah, but you might have just booped your pants a little bit.
Or as Uncle Corny would say, a little bit of a spray.
Daddy wasn't happy. It wasn't a lot, but it was enough.
I was alerted something was down there. Oh my gosh. That is hysterical. All right. So let's see. Money Talks, number 36 in UK, number 21 in Australia.
I love this next bit.
Angus Young claims Mistress for Christmas was about Trump. which again, this is 1990, people. So I just want to say, long time in advance of what we're seeing now.
We're just saying there were signs. There were signs.
And AC/DC was attuned to them way back when, apparently. So, oh, good Lord. And yeah, if you want, look up the lyrics for Mistress for Christmas, and by God, there'll be some startling similarities to what we see today.
It may jog up your algorithms a little bit, so just be prepared for that.
Indeed. And then for entertainment, how songs have been used from the album. Thunderstruck is actually, I believe, still a staple of the Chicago White Sox. They start their games with the starting lineup, basically coming out on the field to Thunderstruck and starting the game. It's really cool what they do. I very much enjoy it. Feel like it's such a great theme to kind of amp a crowd up and get everyone fired up.
They've sucked for a couple of decades.
Well, fair enough. And then currently right now, WWE SmackDown. Are you ready? I'm ready. That was not good. That was a cat who has just been.
It's like Marge Simpson.
Homer.
I'm trying to be sexy to Homer. I'm disturbed. And yet oddly titillated. I'm so confused right now. I'm as confused as a baby raccoon. Our phrase, Buford T. Justice.
Oh my God! All right,
we are heading way off the rails.
And then here we have a nexus point, ladies and gentlemen.
Yes.
Not the reason we chose these two albums. This was just kind of a coincidental factoid. But the Razor's Edge was used in the Iron Man 2 trailer, and as you might recall, Highway to Hell was used in Iron Man 2. So Iron Man 2 is somewhat of a nexus point for both of these albums.
Well, I mean,
having some music featured in the film.
AC/DC was definitely there for Tony Stark. Like,
yeah,
that was all he had on his iPhone.
John Favreau, I think, is an AC/DC fan.
I think so too. But I would be surprised if Robert Downey Jr. wasn't a little bit too. Like, he strikes me as the kind of guy who's
fair
like,
enough.
Hey, can I get Shoot to Thrill here? Like, that'd be really awesome.
Fair enough. All right. Well, with all those factoids for Razor's Edge, as I mentioned, 1990, 12 songs. So 2 more than Highway to Hell, clocking in at 46 minutes, 42 seconds.
It's only 5 minutes longer.
Yes.
Again, a tidy little number.
I think, and I listened to both albums. I think what I take away from Razor's Edge is just that at this stage, AC/DC, not that they didn't have a measure of blues in their music at this point, but their ability to do anthemic songs, anthems, was just a staple of what they were doing. Thunderstruck, Money Talks, The Razor's Edge, Are You Ready? Got You by the Balls, which by the way must be a sequel to Big Balls, but good God. Shot of Love, Goodbye and Good Riddance to Bad Luck. I mean, all these songs are just they pack such a punch. Like you said, they just punch you in the teeth. Fire Your Guns. All of it was just so good. But, when I compare it to Highway to Hell, I just feel like, that album in some ways is probably a bit more raw, a bit more rock and roll, a bit more blues, not as much into the, anthem and anthemic sort of way of approaching, the music. Whereas here they clearly have, kind of a way of really, focusing, kind of their musicality and their energy toward these really strong, and energetic songs.
It's like it's rock that is built for an arena.
Yes, yeah.
It's upscaled, and you can tell that at this point, AC/DC probably playing some pretty big rooms, playing big venues. But if you look at like AC/DC, go to YouTube and search AC/DC live, and you will see some scary stuff, like scary good. But like when they're doing like Highway to Hell, and you see the entire crowd just like rippling like waves.
Yes. Yep.
Kind of terrifying. But you can kind of tell at this point, like their songwriting had kind of ballooned to fill that space. And that's why, to me, something like Thunderstruck is like, oh, that is such an arena thing.
Oh, yeah.
That you couldn't do that in a club. I mean, you could, but it wouldn't have the same effect. But you need like 40, 50,000 people in the room to really make that just sing.
My acoustic guitar friend, who we just heard on Saturday night, has, once again, man, they call Tim, a little bit of influence on the set list there. I asked
You're
him
an
if
influencer. Go ahead and say it. It's okay.
Do Thunderstruck. He now has worked that in as a staple of his set list, and does an amazing job as a sing. I mean, it's just him. That's it. There's no drums. There's no bass. There's no nothing. He just plays Thunderstruck. He tends to use kind of his thumb on the body of the guitar to kind of simulate a little bit of a rhythm or a drum thing going on at times. I mean, just a phenomenal job. And just, that fingering, that sequence that happens there is just incredible. And to do that over and over and over and over again flawlessly is just amazing to me. So that, and from the reading I did, Angus Young says that like that was basically just a riff he just happened upon. He's like, half the time when Malcolm and I are writing stuff, it's just like we just are noodling on the instrument, and we hear something that we think we like, and we play it for the other one just to see what they think, and then we kind of go from there. And that's what happened with Thunderstruck. It's like it was just this goofy thing I was just noodling on and doing, and all of a sudden it turned into like this anthemic, just highly energized and popular song that everyone like glommed onto. And it was certainly a punch you in the mouth sort of song. So
the best way I've ever heard that described, and something I've always aspired to, and I don't think it's happened very often to me personally, but the way that filmmaker Robert Rodriguez, who's also he plays guitar, but he's hung out with musicians, and he does a lot of music for his own movies, and right from the start he kind of was like very DIY, to the point where his first movie, El Mariachi, first full-length movie, he was literally like finding people who'd be like, hey, write me like 3 pieces of music and I'll use them wherever. And the way he described working with a couple of the guys from Los Lobos for music for his movies, he was like, they were just picking songs out of the air.
Yeah
He was like, they would just be sitting there and they're working on this, and they would just pick it out of the air and start playing it. And he'd be like, oh my God, what was that? And they're like, I don't know, we were just fooling around. And so he just learned, like, I'm just running the tape all the time.
Oh, interesting.
Who knows when these guys are going to pick something out and go, oh, hey, that's kind of cool, let's jam on that.
Yeah
That is to me the magic of music.
Yep.
That you can have something like that happen.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing. That's great. I love how that's like a thing that just like, oh yeah, I just stumbled on that and like, hey, that's cool. And next thing you know, it's like selling millions of albums.
It's incredible. Quick technical note for you, sir. I am noticing on my bar that as I'm talking, there are no sound waves popping up. So I don't know if I have some issue on my side or not.
Nope, I'm still seeing it. So I'm going to say we're good.
Okay, because I see it. I see them forming for you, but when I talk, I see nothing on my side. But you're seeing it on your side?
Yeah, everything seems good here.
Oh, okay. All right. I will not worry then.
That's just us pulling back the curtain for you folks.
Yes. A little bit of Zencaster magic right there. So, but overall, yeah, no, just a strong album. I have probably listened to I said I listened to this album about 3-4 times. Probably listened to Razor's Edge about 12, 13, 14 times. I mean, that song kind of hit me out of nowhere. Like I had heard it somewhere before. I was Googling around trying to figure out there's got to be a wrestler who's used that song. But when you listen to that song, how you don't picture someone like a Bray Wyatt or an Undertaker coming out at a WrestleMania to that song, I'm just like, how no one's used this, I don't know.
I don't think I've ever listened to it.
It's
how the hell is Razor's Edge not an essential album on Apple Music?
I don't know.
That's a shame.
Apple Music is stinky. That's why. You can pull it up on YouTube probably and play it.
Oh.
What?
Ooh. I'm listening to it now.
Oh, okay. I'll let you go for a little bit with it, because just go a minute and a half into let it build up. Let it build up.
That noodle, I can totally see where you're saying Undertaker, Bray Wyatt, because that was the thing. I was like, I don't get how that would work.
Yeah.
But totally. Oh.
That's awesome. Yeah, you got it. You're locked into it.
And we're just getting the crowd going at this point.
I mean, seriously, it's like, how do you not like get amped up listening to that song? Like
drums.
Oh my gosh.
No, false beginning.
Yep.
And we're still like, no one's come through the curtain yet. We are a minute in, and it's still no one's come through the curtain yet.
Yep. No, it works well for The Undertaker. He had a long entrance.
Oh yeah, no, dude. Okay, I'm just gonna sit here and listen to that the whole time. No,
All right.
yeah. Oh,
yeah, and now you understand why I've listened to it like 15, 20 times now. It's like it just you can't help but get energized from it, amped up. It's phenomenal. And that's great music. And not every song they do is like that, but
no.
The fact that you have like Thunderstruck and that song and Are You Ready? I mean, those are three super strong like anthems that you can get crowds fired up with, and that takes some talent to get three of them on one album like that. That's crazy.
Oh, dude, 3 in a career.
3 in a career. Yeah,
that's why people are like, oh, they're a one-hit wonder. I'm like, that's one more than you. What's your old lazy ass doing sitting on your couch? Have you
go
song?
YouTube AC/DC Realize, which is a song that they recorded individually during the pandemic. And they actually filmed themselves separately, and then the production studio they were working with stitched it all together into a seamless like video.
Dude,
that
album,
song is crazy good.
So that album, there's another song off of that. Hang on a second. Where is it? Oh, it's my AC/DC Essentials. Because I've used this.
Yeah.
So Realize, Shot in the Dark is another one, which is like, it's one of those things where you're like, and this is why I say like AC/DC is the perfect rock machine, because aside from the sound of the album, and what I mean by that is like the technology that was used, because we know that, analog is different from digital, and the way that, things are recorded are different. So you can tell an older song usually, you know what I mean? Just by the sound of it, unless it's intentionally made to be sounding retro. Dude, all this stuff, it doesn't change. Like, their sound is essentially the same over all of these decades. It carries through.
Yeah.
It's ageless. That is why it is like this perfect thing of like, I fear for the day when we will have no more new AC/DC, because then we will, the perfect rock machine will have stopped.
Yep.
And we won't get that, me be like, oh, here comes a new AC/DC album. You've already bought it 10 times and you know you're going to buy it again, because why? It will rock your ass off and you don't care.
Yep.
Like,
100%.
Those new songs, like, it has a little bit of a new edge to it, but at the same time, it's like, it's still AC/DC.
Yep.
And it's still like, damn, this is good.
Yep.
Holy crap, this is good. Oh yeah. I heard Realize for the first time and I was like, oh,
it's good. I mean, I had to listen to it a couple times. It was just, I'm like, man, this is phenomenal.
Dude, listen to that whole album. It's great. It's great stuff. It's just fun.
But bringing it back to the Razor's Edge. So my favorite song, I thoroughly enjoyed the album. My favorite song, similar to you, this is a dub pick, is Thunderstruck. I mean, how you don't pick that as kind of a lead off.
I got that
wrong. Oh my gosh, that guitar lick was just insane. And so another one that should have been used for someone's entrance. How someone hasn't co-opted that one into just at least a WrestleMania appearance? Come on,
I mean, because licensing. That's why. I mean, it's still shocking that
pay the band to play. Come on.
It's still shocking that they pay, Living Color, Cult of Personality for Punk. But I mean, then again, I mean, they're making the money off of them, and hey, I'm glad that Corey and the boys are getting their pay off of that. God bless them for that. Yep. And it's a killer tune. I mean, God.
Yep.
But yeah, it is one of those things where, there's a reason why most mainstream songs aren't used, because you got to pay. And traditionally, wrestling promoters don't pay.
So favorite song was Thunderstruck. Least favorite song, and honestly, this is a nitpick, is just Mistress for Christmas. I was kind of like, really? This is what
now,
you
is
do
it one
for
of those
a
things
Christmas
where it's
song?
like, if you got 12 songs, one of them has to be the weakest?
Kind of, yeah.
But it wasn't like a total like, I wouldn't.
No, it doesn't stand out like a sore thumb. I mean, it's still in their style. It's still got energy to it, but it wasn't for me.
That was where Love Hungry Man was for me. Like, because it was that song where I'm like, I would totally skip this.
Yeah.
It's such a weird song for AC/DC. It would be almost like if they did a disco song. Be like, what?
Yeah. And it's not that it sounds like a Christmas song or anything like that. It's just they're doing their normal song with just, Christmas themed lyrics in it or something goofy like that. And it's all, sex and everything, which is what they typically do.
I would so buy the living crap out of an AC/DC Christmas album.
Well, you had a couple fans that tried to get him at the top of the.
Dashing through the snow.
There you go.
The one also the sleigh.
Come on. I mean, this.
Jingle bells.
It writes itself.
It does.
Come on.
We Three Kings.
Yes.
Uncle Todd's eyes just lit up like 5 times.
I'm in. Like, I want to hear Brian Johnson singing Chestnuts Roasting Over an Open Fire. Like, I want it to be really, like, I see the thing is I want to throw him off. Like, I want it to be real subtle and, like, almost jazzy at the beginning. Yeah. And then all of a sudden just be like, just, like, tear into this, like, rock.
Chestnuts!
Yeah. Oh.
Good God.
So good.
All right. So Mistress for Christmas is my least favorite song. Biggest surprise, like I said, was The Razor's Edge. Like, I somehow had missed this song in my past listening of this band. And when I was just, again, just, and I love these pleasant surprises. I'm just listening to it in the car. It comes on and just the build up in the beginning is phenomenal. Just everything just kind of, just is perfect. So had to go as my biggest surprise because it really was. It caught me off guard, but it's like one of my favorite songs off the album now, next to Thunderstruck. So, and then since we're all through both albums at this point, on the scale of would I recommend this to a friend, I know 5 is a high recommendation. I go a 7 as a hells yeah. Hold on. Hells yeah, like Stone Cold would do. But no, there it is. It's not a perfect album. I mean, probably going a 5 is a little strong, but I mean, it is 4.5.
Now, would you say that it might even be?
Glorious. No, I won't give in till I'm victorious.
There it is. Absolutely. It is glorious. He's getting good at this, folks. Oh, let's get it in.
All right, we'll listen to that whole fracking thing if we're not careful.
Post-production.
So I've got to say, I believe this is the first time that you have gone outside of the rating scale, whether for wrestling or for album one-on-one. In some way, I feel a need to respond.
Okay.
By going into the thousands, but I'm not. I'm actually going to play against type. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5 for Highway to Hell to recommend. It's.
I mean, they're 2 very strong, solid albums, and they're fun to listen to. And it's good music, it's good rock, it's blues, it's anthems. I mean, you can't go wrong with it. And like you said, I mean, some of the songs, they just have a swing to them that you can't help but get locked in and hooked into it. And so I would recommend both of them. But to your point, 5.5 for Highway to Hell. I would.
Well, no, I was going 5. I'm staying within the scale, sir.
I thought you said 5.5 stars or something like that. I thought you said.
No, I said 5.
Oh,
5 out of 5.
Oh, 5 out of 5. Maybe that's what I heard is 5.
Yeah, I'm giving you your moment to go outside of the scale.
All right, I'm going to go 7 out of 5. So take that.
You do that. And so what have you got for and another thing this week, sir? Because we are pressing up against the time.
I know. I'm going to keep mine super simple. It's not a show. It's not a movie. It's not a podcast. It's not an album. It is just simply this. Go volunteer in your community. Having done our service day for my company this past Friday, and serving in a bunch of different ways, serving in schools, helping students. There are different programs. We do some work with a group called Girls Who Code that help to help advance females who are interested in STEM and want to grow into engineering roles and helping them there. There are food pantries. There are food depositories. I mean, there's so much need out there right now. I can't even do it justice trying to list it all, but But do take some time. We are a very a lot of us are very blessed, and there's certainly a measure of us who are struggling, and whatever we can do to kind of help improve the lives of others, and to just help make things better, all around, both for people and for the community as a whole. Take the time to do it. Take the time to do it. It is you will not be disappointed. It is a reward unto itself. And I think we could do more of it. Certainly for myself, don't do it enough, and need to do more. So quite simply, volunteer in your community.
Well said, sir. And as Brother Devon would say, testify.
Thank you.
Testify. And I would normally have a more exuberance with that, but my daughter has gone to bed, and I'm trying to be
Devon, get the tables. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on, Devon. Let the crowd do it.
And God love him for that. God
good
love
old,
him for that.
Good old Bubba Ray.
The only thing missing from WrestleMania 40 was when Bubba Ray was the referee. If they didn't have like Devon come out at the top of the ramp with a mic.
Oh, that would be wonderful. That would be
my
wonderful.
brother.
Yes. Yes.
But anyways, so for me, I'm just going to allude to the show that I went to on Sunday night and say that if you are not hip to Cyril Emy, you need to. She is an amazing singer. As someone who has sung in front of people for several years now, makes me realize that she is singing on a totally different level than I am. An amazing, I think the way I put it is, it's an athletic endeavor. The amount of control and agility that she has with her voice and command is simply gobsmacking. There were moments when, and this is probably the highest praise I can give for a duo, because the concert was Cyril and her pianist, who was Matisse Picard, I believe. Picard. And the highest praise I can give is there's one song in particular that they performed, was called All Love, that took me back to a moment when I heard Ella Fitzgerald and Joe Pass for the first time, which is Joe Pass, one of the great jazz guitarists of all time. Ella Fitzgerald, one of the greatest singers of all time. Genre, negligible, just of all time. Hearing two people being able to perform vocal accompaniment and feeling as though there is an entire orchestra in the room between the two of them, between the emotion, between the ability, between just what they're doing, is something you can't put a price on.
Yeah.
And it was a moment that I was almost in, I'm not ashamed to say I was almost in tears listening, because it was that amazing to me. Especially as a singer going, I'll never be that good.
Yeah.
That's a little disheartening, but still. But if you have a chance to see Cyril live, by all means, I don't care if you have to drive an hour or two, it's worth it. But in the meantime, go ahead and stream, buy the albums. She did. One of the things that was great seeing her live was appreciating her sense of humor. And she said, I will have CDs and vinyl available and this and that. She's like, I know no one has CD players anymore. However, if you buy the CD, you can stream guilt-free, because you know how poor the deal is for musicians for streaming. And I was like, that is such a great way to explain it. Like, I know you're never going to put this into a player, but at least you'll feel better then about streaming my songs.
Yeah. That's funny. That's funny.
But yeah, definitely check her out. I'll have a link, of course, to her website so you can see, buy her albums and also see where she's performing. But yeah, definitely check out Cyril Emy.
Very nice.
Indeed. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to call it quits here. We need to bring this sucker back in for a landing. Thank you to all the members of the Free Range Idiocy congregation for listening, for watching, all that stuff. By all means, find us on the podcast purveyor of your choice for the audio-only version of this podcast. That is on, you can go freerangeidiocy.com. You can find us on Podbean. You can find us on Apple Podcasts. Google Podcasts no longer apparently exists, so not that one.
We killed it.
Yeah, Spotify, Pandora, whatever the hell Amazon calls its podcast purveyor, and just search for us in general. You will find us. If you like to watch us in it's not 4K. I mean, we're too cheap to do that.
4K, good lord.
Yeah, we don't need that. You don't need us in 4K, and honestly, you don't even need us in 1080. You need us in 720 max. We are not high definition people. But you can find us on the YouTubes, full episodes in full glorious living color. You can find us there. If you want to find us on social medias, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, the previously mentioned YouTube. All of those are at Free Range Idiocy. You can also send us questions, thoughts, concerns. You can send those to Tim at freerangeidiocy.com, and he will get back to you post-haste, if not sooner. And ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for me to turn this show over to the less idiotic of the two idiots who run this show, and that would be the man they call Tim, in case you're wondering. You haven't figured. Let's be honest. You figured that out over the course of this show that I'm the biggest idiot here, and that I'm dragging this both down. Anyways, but not before again. Thanks. By the way, one question.
Yes, sir.
What's going on with the two rings? You're like getting bling.
So this is the exercise wedding band.
Okay.
And this is what is
exercise wedding band.
Yeah, so you wear it when you do like weightlifting, or if you're in the gym doing stuff, in case you break your finger, you can easily it's flexible.
So wait, you have another one that's an actual.
I have the actual wedding ring on my dresser.
Okay.
This is called an Aura ring. This actually is kind of like a secondary to my Fitbit, but it takes heart rate and measures different stats on just kind of your state of well-being. So I bought it after around the time I had the ablation, to just be kind of a secondary measure of my heart rate. I find at times it's a bit more accurate than the Fitbit. So measures your sleep, measures your stress level, your ability to rejuvenate, restore yourself with your sleep. So usually every morning when I open up the Aura app, I'm basically getting talked down to about how I'm not resting enough and restoring myself enough, which it's like, yeah, I know I slept about 4 hours, so I don't know what do you want for nothing. Rubber biscuit.
Information I could have used yesterday. So anyways, I'm going to turn this over to the cyborg who has more information on his bodily functions than anyone really needs. The man they call Tim. However, not before I ask the second most important question. Most important question in all of human history. The first, of course, being, what is hip? The second being, the hell did we learn this episode?
Well, we learned why I have two rings on my finger, on my hand. So there we go. One is to measure the heart rate to let me know if I need to go to the ER or not.
I thought it was a click thing.
Well, it could be that too. We've also learned that the man who played Leoben in BSG, much like the rest of us, are expecting big things from whenever this new series is going to come out. This Phantom series needs to be better, bigger, and badder than the last time go around.
He sees the river.
He does. Yeah. Yes. Yes, he does. Uncle Todd and I are split, if you will, on the Matrix having a fifth movie coming out. The man they call Tim is slightly optimistic. Uncle Todd is pessimistic and justifiably so.
I'm actually giving it an incomplete. I don't feel like I have enough to base it off.
All right.
But I am. Okay, yeah, you're right.
You sounded a little negative on that. I am. Overall, the Free Range Idiocy pairing here, the dynamic duo, is bullish on Deadpool and Wolverine. In fact, we think it's probably the buddy movie that is based on this show, and we will see it played out in the movie theater.
This is me pushing all of my chips to the center.
We've also learned, if you have not experienced the album Highway to Hell or The Razor's Edge, do give it a listen on Spotify, on whatever your music player of choice is. They hopefully will be there.
Buy the damn album. Like get the boys in the band a few shekels.
Give them a few shekels, indeed. Apparently, Apple doesn't carry The Razor's Edge because Uncle Todd couldn't find it.
No, it's on there.
Oh, it is. Oh,
I found it. It was. The shame was that it wasn't under essential albums, which I'm like, that has one of their biggest hits on it.
Yeah.
How is that not an essential album?
Understandable. We've also learned, a few different stats about each album, and, I guess we're going to go back and some of those. What else have we learned? Go volunteer and enjoy the music of Surreal Amy. So, with all that being said, thank you again, as Uncle Todd has already stated. Thank you for the listenership. We do appreciate it. And as we wrap things up here on the rain, don't you do that. Don't you do that, sir. You have more than done that yourself. Oh, are you doing the hurricane? Hurricane Helms, ladies and gentlemen, has graced us with his presence.
There's a hurricane coming.
There's a great clip I found of him and his name is Sean Morley. He had played Val Venus in the late 90s. And he came back in the early 2000s.
Hello, ladies. Ravishing Rick Rude 2.0.
And so at the beginning of this match, Sean Morley does this thing where he makes fun of the Hurricane. He does the stance. And so the Hurricane goes and grabs his cape because he's not known as Val Venus anymore. He grabs his cape, wraps it around his waist, and starts doing the Val Venus thing, and the crowd is eating it up. It was absolutely hysterical. They're like, ah.
So the funny thing is, I actually saw I think it was WrestleMania, which great if you're into wrestling. Again, we said we would talk about wrestling, but here we are talking about wrestling. But there was a clip where they were basically talking about, and Shane Helms is working backstage now as a producer for WWE. Yep. And someone had asked him about, The Rock stealing somebody's spot, and he basically was like, listen, The Rock already has his spot solidified. If he wants to come back whenever he wants to come back, his spot is there. He's done enough that if he wants to come back, it's there. And if you get bumped, that's just the way life works.
You know what? You don't want to get bumped? Outdraw him.
And that is the problem, because guess what? You ain't. Because even now, he's still drawing money.
Absolutely.
Again, a weird little confluence of Shane Helms, a Nexus event with Shane Helms.
Before I forget, one last thing we learned, that Uncle Todd is going to run a small gambling ring when he's waiting at the North Avenue or North Shore station.
No, it's North Station.
North Station.
It's North Station and the South Station.
We've also learned that train he's trying to take is on a 5-hour cycle, apparently. Good God Almighty.
Every other time it's 2 hours, but no, the apparently the Hub Hall is the Mos Eisley Cantina of
we don't serve your kind here.
It really was it is a den of scum and villainy that is unparalleled. That was the only thing that was missing, really.
Well, the next time I have to wait 10 minutes for the next train, I'll try not to complain.
Yes, please do.
God Almighty.
It's 5 hours. You find yourself. The thing is, okay. So here's the thing, and then I know we're getting one, but if you've made this one, it's fine. We ended up going into the Marriott across from North Station.
Had to move away from the scum and villainy, did you?
Just posting up in there, and my wife, God bless her, was like, just walk in there you own the place. And we just walked in there, and we were charging our phones and all that, and we were walking out, and I'm like, there's no way that they thought that, they knew we were in there pirating their electricity. It's only, those are good people right there. They're like, I don't make enough to go kick people out of the lounge. Yeah. And also, the weird thing was, there was a party happening in the Marriott Lounge on Thursday night.
What was that? Did you partake?
There was 30 people in there ordering drinks, playing games and stuff. I was like, I kind of want in on this. But I did, because I didn't want to blow our cover.
Well, good for you. Good. Well, you got to keep it on the down low, especially when you're pirating the electricity. So,
especially that.
And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, be safe, be healthy, be kind, be good to one another. You don't have to go home, but you can't stay here. The hurricane has arrived. Thank you. And as we like to close things out, see ya!
It's like I picked the wrong week to quit drinking.
I beg your pardon, what did you say?
Damn!
You're such a disappointing pair. I prayed so hard for you. Get out. And don't come back until you've redeemed yourselves.
Are we just going to stare at each other now?
Yes.
I couldn't tell for a second if your screen froze or not. You're just like...
Awkward silence.
Oh.
Are you ready?
It's like you know what? It's like the what the frack is that thing called the Jabba had there?
Oh, Salacious Crumb.
Yeah, but the like whatever species that was, like that's what like when you say
Are you ready?
like that's what I picture what that thing's voice is like.
Well, there you go. Maybe Brian Johnson was voicing it in the Return of the Jedi movie.
Maybe.
Now get the hell out of